like discovery. The Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Hello, I'm Ryan Steinke.
And I'm David Aylesberg. Thank you for joining Discovery Channel's new news network.
Today we are going to give you an overview of freshwater marshes. The first life zone in freshwater lakes are called the littoral zone. The littoral zone is found near the shore where rooted plants grow. It is the most productive zone of a lake because it gets abundant sunlight and it receives nutrients from land runoff.
There are also large quantities of decomposers and some animal species such as frogs, fish, and insects. Under the littoral life zone, there is a limnatic life zone. This is a zone on the surface of the lake extending to the depth where the sunlight penetrates. Depending on the available nutrients it contains, phyto and zooplankton, and various fish species.
Under the limnatic life zone is the profundal life zone. The profundal life zone is the deep, dark water that cannot be reached by penetrating sunlight. In the zone, we can only find fish that can survive in cooler, darker circumstances.
Finally, at the bottom of the freshwater bodies, there is another life zone called the benthic life zone, mainly inhabited by decomposers and insect larvae.
In wetlands, the nutrient amount is very rich because the water does not move and the water is very algae-filled. The pH of the water controls what type of organisms can
The
survive.
three most important abiotic factors that can affect wetland organisms are moisture, temperature, and oxygen. A wetland needs enough oxygen and moisture to support a large number of decomposers. Without the decomposers, the garbage will stay and it will eventually become a huge amount of trash.
You know, Dave, I like to refer to the marshes as the kidneys of the Earth's ecosystem.
Why is that?
Because, they do a great job of filtering. They also produce a lot of organic matter that acts as food for a whole set of organisms in these coastal environments.
Would you agree that the marsh ecosystems are basically nurseries for the fish and shellfish?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they provide refuge for a lot of different fish when they are in their juvenile stage.
Agree, man.
Now let's go to Nika for the weather.
Thanks, Dave. Today we're going to be talking about the climate of freshwater marshes. The climate of freshwater marshes includes humid and rainy conditions, 40 to 80 degree temperatures with a 76-degree average. The soil is moist and coarse-grained. Temperate marshes lying along the Atlantic coast experience steady levels of rainfall throughout the year. Subtropical marshes, however, encounter daily rainfall during this wet season from June through September. While temperate zones do not really experience a dry season, subtropical marshes have a dry season that lasts from October through May. Particularly in the subtropical marshes, dry season brings chances of fire as the water level fluctuates with the weather. Shallow marshes burn on a 1 to 3 year cycle, while deep water marshes encounter fire every 3 to 5 years. The amount of light that the water receives depends on the time of day and season, depth, how clear the water is, what the weather is like, and the altitude of lakes. Streams and rivers usually have very high light levels due to shallowness and movement of particles, but can vary in places. Wetlands have very low light levels due to the usually murky, stagnant water and unvarying depth. They deal with the changing environment day to day because of the tides and additional changes with each season. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Nika, for that wonderful climate report. Now, did you know that freshwater marshes are usually found near the mouths of the rivers and are present in areas with low drainage?
They are most common in the Gulf Coast region, specifically in Florida. They can be one of two principal types, either freshwater, mineralized marshes, which drive their water from groundwater streams and surface runoff, or poorly mineralized freshwater marshes, whose moisture comes mostly from regulated direct precipitation.
Speaking of Florida, the Everglades in Florida represent the largest contiguous freshwater marsh in the entire world. This immense marsh covers over 4,200 square miles and is located in the southern tip of Florida.
It's crazy.
There are a variety of fish, birds, insects, amphibians, and crustaceans that make the freshwater biomes their home. One important freshwater animal in the United States is the trout. Many people love to fish for the trout and eat trout. Trout live in both streams and rivers. They can eat fish and insects. Estuaries are rich in animal life and are often protected area where juvenile creatures seek refuge, such as the troutfish. There are also a variety of animals who live in estuaries that people like to eat. For example, clams, shrimp, and lots of fish.
Endangered species that we are going to talk about today is the Florida panther.
Also known as a terrible hockey team.
That's enough out of you, Dave.
Thanks, Ryan.
So, some threats of the Florida panthers is they're a natural predator for the American alligator. Humans also threaten it through poaching and wildlife control. Besides predation, the biggest threat to their survival is human encroachment. Two highest causes of mortality for individual Florida panthers are automobile collisions and territorial aggression between panthers. Roar! Primary threats to the population as a whole include habitat loss, habitat degradation,
And habitat fragmentation.
The invasive species is the common reed, also known as the Phargmitis australis. And some biotic factors are herbivores, producers, omnivores, carnivores, decomposers, and detrivores.
And as we take a break from biotic factors, here you could see the food web of the freshwater marsh. Some keystone species of the freshwater marsh are the salamander, the salmon, the crawfish, and the crabs.
I love me some crabs.
I'm right. In the freshwater system, adding even a little bit of salt can be a big change for the organisms living there, from plants to animals to even bacteria. In order to deal with the changing conditions like this, plants who live in still waters have different adaptations. Water lilies, algae, and duckweed float on the surface.
I have heard that sea levels have risen about 2 millimeters per year over the past century, and it's averaged about 3 milliliters a year during the past decade. Global climate change may increase those amounts. Some affecting issues of the freshwater marsh are habitat modification, fragmentation, destruction, overfishing, environmental pollution, forestry practice, and climate change. And for all of these, for a solution, we need to regulate all of these and calm them down because they're going crazy.
Thank you for all the millions of viewers out there, especially you, Miss Rapp, for watching us today on this Discovery Channel special edition of Freshwater Marshes. And please thank our lovely weather girl, Nika. Thank you. Have a nice day.
We love you, 2K19.